Okay, so if you have health concerns that have all started since your hysterectomy, but yet your doctor's telling you you're too young to have any symptoms of perimenopause, then check this out. Hey.
Introducing the Perimena Bliss Podcast, a show dedicated to unraveling the mysteries of achieving optimal health naturally as you transition into perimenopause and menopause. Get ready to join your host, Dr. Seth Yates, an experienced naturopathic doctor, acupuncturist, and kinesiologist, as he shares his wealth of knowledge acquired from over 40,000 patient visits and 15 years in working with perimenopausal females. Welcome to the Perimena Bliss Podcast.
Hey, this is Doc Yates. Welcome to the Perimena Bliss Podcast. And today I want to talk about the role that a hysterectomy can play in your hormonal health. So there's two things you first want to realize, that there's two, we'll call it two variations of the hysterectomy. There's the full and the partial. Virtually every time, people are usually getting a partial hysterectomy, which means that they're leaving the ovaries in. A full means that they're taking the uterus and the ovaries out. And this would be in cases of maybe hormone-dependent cancers or ovarian cancers, things where they have to get that out. But generally speaking, they're leaving the ovaries in because they want you to have the benefits of still having hormones. So you get the hysterectomy, then you start getting symptoms after, a few months after, 6 months after. And you start gaining weight. You start getting some hot flashes or night sweats. You start getting sleep disturbances. So you go to your doctor, and your doctor's like, well, it's not very likely it's this because you still have your ovaries, and you're only in your late 30s or early 40s, so it doesn't make sense that it would be any symptoms of perimenopause at this point. But here's the thing. Even though you still have your ovaries, when you have the uterus removed, there is up to about a 30% of the blood supply to your ovaries comes from your uterus. Now that varies depending on the person, which is why some people get hysterectomies and have no issues whatsoever, and other people start getting symptoms of low hormones right away. And it all depends with how much of this blood supply do you have from your uterus to supply your ovaries. As the blood supply diminishes to the ovaries, the hormone levels start to drop. As the hormone levels start to drop, you start to see symptoms of perimenopause, even though you didn't have these symptoms before and you're not at the age where you think you should have those symptoms. So if you have a full hysterectomy, right off the bat, they're like, well, we know you're not going to have any hormones, so therefore we want to encourage you to use different hormones to prevent osteoporosis, to prevent cardiovascular conditions. But yet when you have a partial and you start to see this hormone drop, they don't suggest anything. In fact, they'll probably say it's not that and give you antidepressants. So where does that leave you? There's a few important things that you need to consider. Is one, the age doesn't really matter at this point. It has to do with how much can your ovaries produce given the reduction in blood supply. And then two, you still have to do work now to balance your hormones. Because now the nice thing is that sometimes at this stage you have options in terms of treatment. So you often have to use progesterone, but not always. You often have to use progesterone just in the second phase of your cycle, but not always. Because if you had some extra hormone, and remember that your hormones are bound up. A lot of the hormones are bound up in protein, so they're not even in use. You can use different herbs that increase the amount of free hormone that you have, and sometimes that's just enough. But the answer is you should be doing something to improve your hormone balance, whether it's in herbal formulas with Vitex or Diascorea, whether you're using progesterone, whether you're using things to help with estrogen, to help with your body's basic metabolism of estrogen. All of those things should be looked into and considered, because otherwise what's going to happen is you're going to start getting all of these symptoms. Your doctor said it wouldn't be anything hormonal, so you're not even thinking hormones, and you're like, there's something wrong with me. My mood is off. My weight is changing. My sleep sucks. You just don't feel like yourself, and it's because all of those hormone changes happen because of the surgery. So am I saying not get the surgery? No, if you need to get the surgery, And then if that's the case, if there's something that's like, lots of problems with fibroids that aren't able to correct or whatever reason, if you have to get the surgery, that's fine. Just realize, work with someone or take the time to balance your hormones after. So this is just a quick podcast today, but I just wanted to get this one out there because I have a lot of clients who, when I tell them this, they're shocked because no one's told them that they can have issues with their hormones after a partial hysterectomy, because as far as they're concerned, they still have their ovaries. So I hope this was helpful. This is Doc Yates signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to the Paramena Bliss podcast. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and visit paramenobliss.com for more valuable information on how you can thrive during your transition through perimenopause. Join our community of like-minded women who are dedicated to achieving optimal health naturally, and stay up to date with the latest tips, tricks, and advice from Dr. Seth Yates. And we'll catch you on the next episode of the Paramena Bliss podcast.